Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Railroad Empire. In today's video, I'm just going to be doing kind of a layout update. Now, as you guys can tell, the layout is a disaster right now. So, one thing I'd like to do is get it cleaned up. But there's a ton of stuff I'm working on the layout, and I'd like to show you guys. So let's get right into it. On is replacing this section of track that comes out of the tunnel. Now, I know in all the videos it seems fine, but in reality, it was really bad. There was like multiple joints and they had like straightened out, so it would cause a lot of derailments with trains and be difficult to get long trains to run over it. So as you guys can tell now, the track is replaced. The closest track on the inner loop there is not quite glued down yet, so it's shifted just barely to the left, so when it gets glued down, it'll be perfectly parallel with the outer loop. Alright, so the next thing you guys can see that I'm doing is I'm adding another spur track. So, as you guys can see back there by the mountain, I have added a switch there that comes out behind the little, I'm not even sure what kind of factory it is, just some sort of trackside factory. And it comes back and it leads over here to where another switch will be, and I'll be adding my double stall engine shed that I built. I don't think I've ever shown this in a YouTube video, but it's really nice. It's a blue double stall engine shed, and I've wired LEDs into it, as you guys can see from the top view. So it lights up and everything, which is really cool. But yeah, I'll be adding that right around that area. So that's something really cool that I've been working on. Also, another thing, just the other day, I purchased myself a Bachmann daylight, which I'll show in just a sec. Alright, well, here we are. This is the daylight. So I went to my local hobby shop and looked in the display case and saw a price tag of $35 on this. And so I asked the guy if we could test run it, and he was like, sure. So we went to the test track and test ran it, and it sounded like it had a cracked gear, which was really disappointing to me because I thought I was about to get a great deal on a daylight for cheap. But unfortunately, no, it had a cracked gear, is what I thought, because it sure sounded like it. So I offered the guy $30 for it, and he said yes. So I ended up just walking out with it for $30, and I got it home, and I ended up taking it all apart. It's the split chassis model. So you have two metal halves that come together with plastic spacers in between. So it's very easy to get it to short out if one of those spacers are missing or something is just not aligned right. It's very difficult to work on. So I get it all apart and I inspect all the gears thoroughly. None of them have a crack in it, which for me, that was great news. But the other problem is, what's making the clicking sound? So I put it back together without the shell on, and I put it on my track and I give it a little test run, and I notice the cracking sound is 100% gone. So then I put the shell on and I start hearing it again. I figure out the problem is there's a little piece up here that goes underneath the shell, and when those are on the outside of the shell, they rub on these little plastic pieces here that I think are supposed to be like bolts or whatever on the side, and they rub on that and make this clicking sound. And when you put them back under the shell, it goes away. So all I really had to do was put them under the shell, and now the thing runs great. I also bought a DCC decoder for it, and I have that installed, so it can run on DCC. So I'll show a little clip of that running right now. Another thing I've been working on is the road. As you guys can see, most of the road is painted gray. I still have the other side of the train tracks to do, and the road crossing, and the small parking lot off to the right. But it's looking great, and I'm super happy with it. I can't wait to get lines on it and weather it. Alright, so speaking of weathering, I've been experimenting with some weathering on some train cars. This is a Bachmann Canadian National, just average gondola car. Just stock from the factory, how they come. Kind of dusty, but it's alright. This is a weathered one. So it doesn't look like much of a difference by itself, but when you put it up to here, you can see quite a difference. Basically, the shine is taken away. You can see how this one has a glare, as this one doesn't really have too much of a glare. But yeah, that's something else that I've been experimenting with, just some weathering. So I'm pretty happy with how those are turning out. I've also done some basic weathering on a hopper car of mine, which we can see right here. Now, again, it doesn't look like much, but it's basically just gotten rid of most of the... This one didn't have shine, it was more of a matte finish, but it's really hard to tell on camera, but you guys can see some of the little bits of dirt that are on there. Just kind of adds a little touch to it. So yeah, it's definitely nice to be experimenting with the weathering powders, and I do have clear coats that I use to seal everything so it doesn't get rubbed off when I grab it. Yeah, I hope next to maybe weather a locomotive or something, but I'm just scared to overdo it. I definitely don't want to run into that situation, but yeah. There's not really much else on the layout that's happened, mostly just the updates that I've shown you guys. As we look here, we can see a little bit of ballast that's been removed, and I've been lifting up the track because it was like bowing down and was not doing too well. So I pulled it up and glued it so now it's all level and flat, which is great. So yeah. Well, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and get us to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We're like 16 away. So just smash that button and let's get it to 1,000 subscribers, where we will have the face reveal, probably a tour collection, and then probably some nice running sessions and rail fanning videos to come. So please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you next time on The Road Empire.